All right, good evening. I'm going to call the meeting to order.
See the bell.
That's the first time I've ever used that gavel. Yes, you can't see me. I'm back here. So we're going to call the regular meeting to order now at 7 o'clock. We have just returned from closed session. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Dennis Arrayes, could you lead us to the pledge, please? And I would ask that you all remain standing after we're done with the pledge, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Unfortunately, this past couple of months, we lost some of our dear friends who are employees of our district, or former employees of our district. Bellamina Flores Anaya was a member of our staff for 20 years here. She left the district in 2022, and she passed away unexpectedly. We want to pass our condolences on to her family. Also, Dawn Lace, who was a paraprofessional and worked at Henry Miller School and worked in the LEAP program. She also passed away recently. And Mr. Manuel Costello, who was my Spanish teacher when I was in high school. Yeah, I'm old. He was also administrator, counselor at the high school. Absolute wonderful man. Of the three, this is the one I knew, and I've known Mr. Costello for a really long, long time. He was a great person and a great addition to our district, as were the other two. So we just like to have a moment of silence for these three former employees. Thank you very much. Next item on our agenda is the approval of the agenda. Dr. Marshall, are there any changes or?
No changes.
No changes to the agenda. Thank you. Motion, please. You're okay. You're okay. Got a motion by Member Gattuso, seconded by Member Smith to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passed unanimously. On to some recognitions and introductions. Dr. Marshall.
Okay. My microphone. We see these great students up in front of us. Round of applause for the students, please. We have in front of us the, I guess, the boys and girls wrestling teams from Los Banos High School, and they have made history for for the school and for the district. So I wanted to just basically kind of highlight some of the accomplishments. Let's first start with the ladies team, the ladies Tiger team first. They were the San Joaquin section division dual champions. And we also had one state qualifier, Kara Daniels. Kara, please stand there. Face the crowd, face the crowd. I'll get up and take you. Now I want to move to the Los Banos High School boys wrestling team, the boys Tiger team. They were the San Joaquin section division dual champions. Also, they advanced to the San Joaquin Sectional Divisionals champions, and we had 3 state qualifiers. 3. Okay. Come forward, Brockton Borelli. Larry Borelli. And Raymond Fernandez. So what I'm going to do, at this point, I'm going to come up and I'm going to shake their hands, but I'm going to shake all the wrestlers' hands. I think they all deserve it. But they have done, that's all a round of applause. Big honor for the district. To kind of close my presentation, we often hear about, we talk about public schools, we often hear about the negative. You always hear about the negative. But it's nice to hear these positive stories. And this is so nice tonight to be able to look at our kids, great students, and they bring great things to the district. So let's give them one more round of applause. And thank you for coming.
I know I speak for all of the board here tonight that we are very proud of all these great students. Congratulations. All right, we are ready to continue on to our meeting. Next item is the notice that any member of the public may request an item be placed on our agenda, which is within our purview. and they may do so by contacting the superintendent's office at least 2 weeks prior to a regularly scheduled board meeting and ask that that item be considered for a future board meeting. Any member who is in attendance tonight that wishes to make any comments about any item that is on tonight's agenda may do so. Yeah. If the lobby's not going to be quiet, we're going to have to close the doors. We all? Okay. Yeah. Everybody scheduled here? All right. And we do have, before I finish what I was saying a minute ago, we do have, and I see him over here, we have a number of students from Pacheco High School and Mr. De La Cruz's class who are from the government class, and they're here to watch government in action. So welcome to all of the Pacheco High School. So welcome to all the Pacheco High School students. And, you know, at the end of the meeting tonight, if you have any questions about anything, come on up and ask. We'll be glad to answer any questions about something that you had question about why this happened or what happened in this certain part of the meeting. All right, going on. Anybody that has a comment about any item that is on our agenda tonight may do so by stepping up to the podium. Once that item is before the board, you will have 3 minutes to speak on that item with a total of 20 minutes of comments on any particular agenda item. If there is anybody here tonight that wishes to speak on any item that is not on tonight's agenda, may also approach the podium in a second, and you will have 3 minutes to speak. If there are multiple speakers on the same topic or subject, there is a 20-minute limit to that. So is there anybody here that wishes to speak to the board on any item that is not on tonight's agenda? Please step forward. And so you know where you are in the 3 minutes. There'll be a timer right under that monitor over there. Good evening.
Good evening, Board of Trustees. My name is Andrea Clark. I'm a fourth grade teacher at Miano. And I just want to take a moment and say thank you so much to the trustees that came to my classroom during Read Across America. I greatly appreciate it. Ms. Smith, Ms. Gattuso, Mr. Lieb, Mr. Pereira, Mrs. Valadeo, Mr. Munoz, thank you for emailing me and telling me that you were ill. I greatly appreciate it, and I hope you're feeling better. My students wrote a little thank you note, and I do appreciate it. Mr. Pereira, Mr. Lieb, I hope you learned a little bit about AR. It's nice to broaden your horizons. My students were very thrilled to say, is that an AR book? And they whipped out their book, and they checked it. You were pretty amazed, I think, and questions what they were doing. Ms. Moran, I didn't get a chance to an opportunity to invite you. I did most of it at the school board dinner, so I apologize for that. But you're welcome anytime to come and read. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you very much. Thank you. Is there anybody else that wishes to make a comment tonight? Good evening.
Good evening, Board. Thank you for having us. I offered my students, as you can tell, they had an opportunity to come and see how government works. Prior to COVID, we oftentimes would do this on a regular basis, and I wanted them to see how everything works. And since I can't take them to DC, I can't take them to Sacramento, I figured what better way to let them see how government works by elected officials here and locally. So I appreciate you having us, and as you can see, I didn't pack the house with them. We're going to come in waves this time, and so that means that there'll be plenty of seats for everybody. But I do have something that I have some concern. And one of the things we're learning about in government is the fact that we have the right to petition our government for a redress of grievances. And 23 years ago, I had the opportunity to meet a very nice individual who recruited me to Los Banos. And his name is Mike Villalta, who used to be head of human resources. And this guy did, I thought, was the impossible. He brought a young 20-something-year-old kid, and he lured him from sunny San Diego to Hobunk, Los Banos. And I honestly thought that my first year, if you ask my wife, she was the same thing because they got her from the Washington State. I honestly thought my first year here was going to be my only year here. This was going to be my stepping stone to go back to Southern California. But I took a chance on Los Banos. And I haven't regretted it. But, unfortunately, this year, this is the first year that I have felt unappreciated. And unfortunately, as you can see, I'm so appreciative of my colleagues here who are standing here with me. We love our jobs. I love our job. I love my job. And we've raised 2 children here. Our children go to school here. We set roots here. My wife was going to leave. We stayed. We stayed because we believed in this school district. I just want our school district to believe in us as teachers. I thank you. I thank you. And look forward to seeing you guys again.
Thank you. Thank you. Are there any other comments on an item that is not on tonight's agenda? All right, seeing none, we're going to move forward on to reports, starting with our student report. Oops, wrong button. There we go.
Okay.
Welcome, Catherine.
Okay, I would like to start off with saying that Pacheco High School would like to wish District IS Alex Gomes a happy birthday. Also, I want to congratulate Abby Pikes for being selected to represent our league as a recipient of the Dale Lackey Scholarship in Athletics. George McEwen was recognized at Merced County's Association of California Administrators Every Student Succeeding award ceremony on Friday, February 17th, 2023. George was chosen as Pacheco High School's nominee due to his determination, resiliency, and commitment to his education. George was chosen as the Merced Charter Region 9 nominee and will represent Merced County at the regional award ceremony in April. Mental health counselor Jocelyn Kilbride spent some time in February going around to classes, giving presentations on the dangers of marijuana use. FFA celebrated National FFA Week, February 20 to 24, with spirit dress-up days and after-school activities. Fair animals have been moved into Pacheco Farm, and students are working with their animals daily to get them ready for spring fair. Pacheco baseball and softball held their annual crab feed fundraiser February 18th, and it was a huge success. They would like to thank the community for the ongoing support of their programs. Class of 2023 Senior Parent Club held the first meeting February 1st to get started with planning senior activities for the seniors in the spring. Senior athlete Cameron Cortines made it official on February 24th, signing a letter of intent to play volleyball at Keystone College in Pennsylvania. Spring sports started competing in the month of February. There are over 200 athletes on teams playing this spring. And then moving on to Los Banos High School. The month of February is Black History Month. LBHS BSU planned door decorating contest for the month. There were 19 submissions, and Miss Montiel's first period won first place. There was a second place tie with Miss Sorry. Do you know how to say this? Oh. And
That's a hard one.
Lampreda's classes. For the month of February, LBHS BSU also added a fact about Black history and its importance today in society to the daily bulletin every day. BSU has also begun planning the first ever Black History Museum and Multicultural Night on March 30th. On February 4th, some of the LBHS BSU members attended the Black College Expo in Oakland, where every senior who attended received multiple scholarships and college acceptances on the spot. Attending seniors hit the jackpot, as some of these scholarships were up to $20,000 renewable per year. They also met with several sororities and student-led groups from multiple HBCUs and UCs and more. LBHS Tigers had a blast. On February 7th, a handful of women from LBHS Black Student Union attended the annual African American Leadership Conference in Fresno. They met with several different leaders, such as scientists, players from the NFL, and more, on how to learn and advance as a leader and make changes within the community. Jacinta Brown was awarded senior for distinction for her exceptional leadership and advancements of diversity in Los Banos. February 7th through 23rd was National Kindness Week. ASB planned some sort of challenge each day for each student to partake in. Some challenges included writing on the kindness wall, opening the door for someone, and complimenting a stranger. ASB also planned out and hid annual kindness rocks for students to find around campus. ASB began planning LBHS's Multicultural Night, which will take place on March 30th. As a reminder, LBHS has its annual scholarship night on January 28th. Seniors are able to get all the information for scholarships and for the month of February. They were also able to work on their scholarships. Scholarships were due to February 24th. The theme for prom was announced. LBHS's junior class officers chose the theme of Tuscan Sunset. Prom will be held on April 15th on Coyote Ranch in Coyote, California. Tickets will go on sale in the beginning of March. The Tigers mural on MPB was updated and repainted. It's looking pretty sharp. Save the date for senior banquet was released. Senior banquet will be May 13th. Planning for the senior banquet has begun. Students are excited about this end-of-the-year event that is exclusive to seniors. On February 28th through March 2nd, LBHS's S Club and PHS's S Club will put on the annual prom closet. This event will be where students can attend to get free prom accessories like dresses, suits, purses, and other prom items. Sports update. In February, a handful of sports, such as girls soccer, boys basketball, and girls basketball, celebrated their senior night. On February 4th, both boys and girls wrestling finished first in WAC championship. Girls basketball finished the league as WAC champions, and varsity girls basketball is heading off to the first round of playoffs. On February 11th, boys wrestling brought home their second blue banner. 3 wrestlers brought home gold medals. Girls wrestling finished up top 10 in their individual championships on February 11th. On February 14th, girls basketball played the first round of playoffs. On February 15th, the boys basketball team played round 1 of the playoffs. Though both teams fell to their opponent, all players had a fantastic season. LBHS had 4 wrestlers, Kiara, Larry, Raymond, and Brockton, that moved on to state wrestling meet. There are also 2 more students that placed at Masters, Michaela and Crystal. Caitons Welsh named MVP for the Western Athletic Conference. All the following were given first team recognition in their sports: America, Monica, Kristen, Eric, and Josh. On FFA update. On February 15th, LBHS's FFA held its Sweetheart Dinner. The crowned sweetheart was McKenna Silvera. FFA had its annual FFA week from February. They hosted games in the quad and had dress-up days all week. On Thursday, February 23rd, FFA hosted its annual Teachers Appreciation Lunch in the library. 2 students presented the FFA Creed for the first time ever. The FFA Creed was presented in English and Spanish. And that is all for both schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Before we go on to the next report, for the members from Mr. De La Cruz's class and maybe some of the other people that are here, the student representative is elected by their school. So we have one representative from Pacheco High School, one representative from Los Banos High School, and they switch off every other month coming and giving their report. But they're also, by Ed Code, they also are allowed, if they want, sometimes they have to go home and do homework or study for a test or go to practice or something, but they're always encouraged, and if they want, they can stay through the rest of the meeting. And they do have the opportunity to give input on any items that we are discussing on our agenda. So when an agenda item comes up, if there's something that they want to share with us and be part of the discussion, they have that right to do so. And that is where some of the high school students, I think you need to know that if there's an issue that you have coming up and there's something on our agenda that you want your representative to talk about, then please tell them so that they can come here and share with the board the thoughts from the school, because we really want to hear those things. So we encourage them to be part of our discussion. And the other thing is that they are actually allowed to vote on any item that is on our agenda, but it works a little differently. They actually have to vote before the board votes, and their vote is non-binding, or their vote does not count toward the vote of the board, but they do have an opportunity to vote on any item that we have on our agenda. So, and that vote has to take place before the board votes, and then of course the board votes and then follows. So, just a little bit about how the student representative works, and they are representing your school. So, if you have an issue, it's their opportunity to share that with us. The other thing is I forgot to mention, is when I talked about public presentations and comments about agenda items, that is something that is allowed on every agenda. So if there is something on an agenda, whether it's school board, city council, county supervisors, the state legislature, you have the opportunity to have input on those agendas. That's why we allow public comment for every item that's on the agenda, and even public comment item that's not on our agenda but is within our purview. So, if you ever have a burning thing going on that you want to talk about, you have that opportunity not only to tell your board rep, but if there's something on the agenda that you want to talk about, you can come down here and talk. So please know that you have that opportunity. And with that, we'll go on. Next is the California School Employees Association report. Good evening.
Good evening. So I normally get up here and try to shine the light on one of our many different classifications. But tonight I wanted to take a minute and reflect on classified as a whole. It's not a secret that I think classified employees are pretty stinking awesome. I say this every single time I'm up here. But and as chapter president, I really try to make everyone feel heard and seen as an equal. And I think I'm up here saying that all the time too. But our negotiations team, their job is to make everyone feel represented. We must try to decide what is best for all. And it's really hard. We have people working 2 hours a day. We have people working 8 hours a day. We have people making $17 an hour. We have people making $30 an hour. We have people who work 182 days. We have people that work 247 days. We have some who work just their contract. We have some who work their contract plus pay sheets. Hopefully you can see where I'm going with this. We have to figure out what's best for all. And we are not a one-size-fits-all group. We have to evaluate every aspect of each classification and then come to an agreement that actually fits us as a whole, which, as you can see from the agenda tonight, we believe we did. Tonight, I ask that you ratify our tentative agreement we made with the district, with the knowledge that we did what we needed to do to benefit classified members as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Lisa. On to Los Spanish Teachers Association report. Your time's up.
Good evening. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Jennifer Wilkin, and I am the president of Los Spanish Teachers Association, otherwise known as Those People. Tonight, I would like to start by highlighting some of the amazing things those people are doing in their classrooms, our schools, and our community. Some of them are in the room with us, some of us are in the hallway, and some of us weren't able to join us. Vicki Costello is an independent study teacher at Volta. She's working with her publisher to get her second book out this summer. She's presented to other teachers at conferences on how to use literature to make classrooms an inviting and safe place. She's the head of several committees at the Las Vegas Elks Lodge as well, where they work with schools to honor and provide supplies to our students. We have Carissa Griffith from Pacheco High School, who is a College Board pre-AP national faculty member. Wow. We have Carlos Campos, also from PHS, who does a 4x4x48 challenge every year. And I really don't understand what it is or why you would want to, because it sounds hellish. And he has raised over $8,000 for the athletics excellence scholarship on his own. Lee Spivey from Las Vegas High School will be presenting at the World Education Summit in a few weeks to over 85,000 participants from 47 countries. I've got a list, so you might want to hold your applause. Christy Huff from San Luis High organizes a blood drive every year to introduce their students to the importance of giving back to their community. This year, almost 40% of San Luis students donated blood. Sharon Lewis from PHS is the academic decathlon coach, where students have won many awards and scholarships. She is a class advisor, the speech and debate club advisor, and a member of the PBIS and safety committee at Pacheco. Sharon has been chosen as one of the best teachers by seniors 3 times. She's also a commuter who is actively looking for a job closer to home. We have Anastasia Buntoff and Fernando Pena at Creekside, who have impressed the math coordinator from Livingston so much with their use of the classroom strategy of Thinking Classroom by Peter Liljedahl during a walkthrough that Livingston has signed a contract with MCOE to bring all of their math teachers to come see them teach. MCOE now wants Creekside to be a demonstration school for Thinking Classroom to show how powerful what they are doing is. Materials they use for these strategies are often funded through Donors Choose, because her site doesn't offer them. Mackenzie Ferreira from Henry Miller is always doing amazing things. She does a book tasting transformation, and that has led her students to reading more than 300 books this school year. She has a Dress Like an Idiom Day and flashlight reading. Her class writes and publishes ebooks about multicultural holidays. She teaches students to play handbells as a way to integrate music into the classroom. Mackenzie also serves as a Cub Scout leader in our community to help our elementary students build leadership skills and self-confidence, as well as being a mentor to other adult volunteer leaders in the Merced County area. Monique Moad from Miano started Ag Day at our site in 2019. This is an event that is looked forward to by all students at Miano. She's actively involved in her church and taught English at the adult school for over 15 years. And she is so proud that many of her former students went on to get high school diplomas and take courses at the community college. She's an advocate for the rights of our families that may not know how to get the help they need. We have Stuart McCullough from Los Banos High School, Maria Cousins from PHS, and Adam Jacobo from Los Banos Junior High, who all took on the coaching of students for a new public speaking event offered this year by California Association FFA. These 3 teachers are coaching students for the FFA Creed Speaking Contest, now offered for the first time in California in Spanish. There will be 4 Los Banos Junior High, 3 Los Banos High School, and 2 Pacheco High School students competing in the first ever Spanish Creed Speaking Contest tomorrow in Merced at the Central Region FFA Public Speaking Finals. Gina Polini at Volta has done many classroom transformations, which get the students excited to learn and wanting to come to school. So far, she has done glow games, police punctuation, camping, and they're gearing up for a Starbucks writing cafe. Starbucks is donating all the supplies. Her class has also published their first book, titled When I Grow Up. She uses flexible seating in her classroom, which gives students choice each day, and this seating helps them to stay focused during class time. They love the excitement of choosing the best seat for themselves each day. She's paid for most of the seating out of her own pocket. Some of it has come through Donors Choose. Now, I've mentioned Donors Choose a couple times. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but it's a website where public school teachers can go to get things funded for their classrooms. I wish I'd never actually heard of this site. In fact, I wish it didn't even exist. Why are we as teachers having to actively seek donations to be able to teach our students in a way that makes learning fun and interactive? Why aren't our campuses and our district providing enough funds? There are classes from kindergarten to high school on there right now from our district trying to make school a more engaging place for students. They're asking for funding for things like flexible seating, whiteboards, chalk markers, class rewards, PE equipment, and books. So many books. You can go online and see the 2 pages of current projects waiting to be funded and the 205 projects that have already been funded from teachers in Los Banos. And this doesn't even account for the state and national awards and recognitions won by many of our teachers in a vast array of arenas from local, state, and national organizations. Among our ranks, we have Coaches of the Year, National Teachers of the Year, Athletic and Activity Directors of the Year, Ag Advisors with national recognition, teachers who work with other states to write curriculum. It doesn't even touch the number of our teachers who are actively recruited by other districts, community colleges, and universities with offers of taking all of their years of service. I represent 511 of those people, and those people are working above and beyond to make our district an amazing place for our kids. Recently, we took a survey of our members, and we found that at least 150 of our members are commuters. Their average commute time is 40 to 60 minutes. And as I said last month, we recognize that as free-thinking adults, we choose if we want to commute or not. Something we found that was very disturbing is that over 80 teachers are actively looking for jobs closer to home. That's close to 20% of our teaching staff. Can we afford to lose that many at one time? Can we afford to lose that many, period? Here are some quotes from some of our members. Dedicating 22 years to this district and making this our one-way commute for all these years, including during COVID when my classroom was empty, I wish I felt like my loyalty and dedication to LBUSD mattered. I thought it did, but now I don't think it does. I will likely finish my career elsewhere and definitely closer to home. Another one, the cost of gas is causing financial difficulties. I'm a single mom of 3 kids, and I'm spending approximately $500 a month on gas. Another one, I love my job here in LBUSD. That's why I commute. I just wish our district would treat our teachers like they loved us. And the final one, as a former commuter, I do remember that my quality of life was diminished because of the 45-minute one-way commute. If I was still a commuter, I would find a comparable job with similar pay and benefits closer to home, and I would leave Las Vegas. The state said that COLA is worth 13.26%. They acknowledge that the cost of living is increasing, and in order to keep up, wages need to go up as well. Our district has told us, with their offer of 7.3% and a cap on health insurance, that they only value us half as much as the state does. Morale is at an all-time low. People are looking to leave. The benefits of staying here in Las Vegas are not what they once were, and with a hard healthcare cap, they will be even less. It won't take much to turn that around. You all have the power to do that. You can tell Dr. Marshall to show up on Monday and work with us. I am right now personally and publicly inviting Dr. Marshall to the negotiating table with us on Monday. While he saw value in sitting in on negotiations with CSEA, he hasn't shown teachers the same respect. Last month, in the board meeting, he said he was open to having conversations. We can't have those conversations if he isn't even in the room. Dr. Marshall says he doesn't negotiate in public. Well, he doesn't show up to negotiate in private either. Don't forget, we are more than just a warm body in a classroom. Those people, as we have been referred to, are parents, advocates, and parts of this community. We support our students inside and outside the classroom. Drive by any school after contract hours or on weekends, and you will see cars that belong to those people. They are working for free to meet deadlines, get materials ready, since much of our prep time is taken up by meetings and trainings. Those people are tired, overworked, overwhelmed, and definitely feeling underappreciated. Please step up and do the job you have been elected to do. Put our students first. And if you are truly doing that, our teachers wouldn't be coming last. Thank you.
Stay?
No, they didn't stay last time either. Mr. De La Cruz, before we continue, could you go behind you and turn the air conditioning on? Thank you. It's a little warm in here. All right. Continuing. Appreciate it. Thank you. All right. Next item on the agenda is the superintendent's report. Dr. Marshall.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I have a few things. First, it's nice to see us as we kind of get out of this pandemic phase, kind of get to the endemic phase of the pandemic, and things are kind of returning to normal. I had a chance to go to the 26th annual FFA staff luncheon. Thank you for the invitation. I thought about you, Mr. McCullough, when I was on the exercise bike the next morning trying to work it off, but it was good though. It was very delicious. Rotary brought back the empty bowls. That was nice. That was something that we did prior to the pandemic, and it was real nice to see the community come out to support that project. Kudos to the ceramic teachers, the students that were involved, the Rotarians that came out to work the event. Ms. Brazil is here. Kudos for taking your leadership with that project. We hosted, I kind of copied the idea from Mr. Sarsby, breakfast at the superintendent on March 6th. That was this week at Los Banos Junior High. What was interesting, we had a great turnout. We got a lot of good feedback. But what I learned is I'm gonna have to do a little bit less formal. We had a very structured process in place. And I don't think that's what the people wanted. They wanted to just sit down and just talk about stuff. So the next time we do it, it will be more of a just sit down, just kind of talk, just have conversation. The feedback we got was just too formal, and people wanted to talk about things that just different issues that they had. But it was good. It was a good experience, and thanks to the board members that came out. I did enjoy the Read Across America activities. I got to read at Grasslands, West Side, and Miano. That was fun. I have a newfound respect for teachers in the primary grades because I was a high school teacher. I'm used to high school kids. The little small, I can't. That's a little different experience. So I had fun reading those classes, but I have a newfound respect. So thank you to those teachers that invited me. I appreciate that. Next week, we've been invited to present at a state conference. I think Dr. Ritchie and I will be doing a presentation with the State Department officials, because like I said, they look at when people give you resources and lots of resources, they do evaluate what you do with that money, and they do look at the results. So they were able to find some areas that our district did very well in, and Dr. Ritchie and I will be speaking to that with some designees from the State Department. Then I also get to be on a panel, and I need to kind of check as far as what that's going to entail. And then I facilitate a session that involves the governor and Dr. Linda Darling Hammond, who's a member of the State Board of Education. So that should be kind of interesting in terms of, kind of talk about what's going to happen in the state in the future. Next week, as far as negotiations, it's on Monday, right, the 13th. And the district will continue to bargain in good faith. That's all I'm going to say about it. Again, I don't do all this. I just stick to, there's a process. Numbers speak for themselves. Okay. That's it.
Thank you very much. On to facilities. Good evening, Ms. Monday.
Good evening. Good evening, board members, President Pereira and Dr. Marshall. I'm going to be presenting my facilities update for this week. So the first slide here, we can see the Lofton Stadium ticket booth and concession stand building. The middle picture is the rendering, the architect's rendering. So as you can see, we're coming along. It's looking a lot like that. The picture on the right is looking out those front windows. So moving along nicely there. Team building 100. The plumbing top out roof inspection has happened. They're doing the stucco layers, so the brown coat has been completed. The middle picture here, you can see they're starting to do the insulation inside of the building, and then that will be inspected, and then they'll start being able to do their sheetrock, hanging up the sheetrock, and you can see that the sheetrock is there on site already. Building 300, they're also doing the plumbing top out and finishing this week, and then should be inspected next week. They're finishing the scratch coat, and the brown coat will start depending on the weather, and as we can see, the rain has really started, so we'll have to see how it affects our progress here. And then the installation should be going in next week, and they'll be inspecting that before they can go ahead and put the sheetrock on. On the concession stand building, the rough electrical is going in, and the plumber is doing the top out and installing the roof drains. The pictures here, some electrical, and then you can see they have their scaffolding up, doing their scratch coat there. The site is, it's pretty muddy now with the rain, but they have been grading, getting ready to do part of the landscape sleeving and setting the fence posts. And we're continuing with coordination with City of Los Banos and Schneider Electric, who's going to be doing the solar panel installation after the project's over. This slide is the same as what it was, at the same spot as where we were last month. We're waiting on PG&E to come out and replace the pole. And until we do that, we really can't do anything else. I've called him 3 times this week, trying to find out where we are on the schedule. They say we're on the schedule for 3/3, which was last week. So, you know, with the weather, it's kind of hard for them to always get there when they need to. So, but that is coming along. The other 2 projects, Pacheco and Creekside Freezer, we have turned those over to the schools, and we're in the closeout phase of that. And in the future, we'll be bringing notice of completion and completing all the closeout documents. And then just as a reminder of some of the upcoming projects we have, Los Banos High School fire alarm replacement, Los Banos High School LED lighting, and then the Lofton Stadium solar project. All 3 of those have already been awarded, and so those are summer projects that we're planning on getting going. And then the LBES parking lot replacement, that is also a summer project. We're still in design in that. We'll be bringing a construction contract once we do the bidding of that. And then the early education complex, which is the TK Center, we're in design and planning on that. And that is my report. Any questions?
Any questions?
I've been one who has been asking about Pacheco High's gym, and I understand from Charlie Pikus that the lights and everything are in place. I was hoping that I could go tonight and take pictures of the Pacheco volleyball game, but I'm here instead. So I'm told that you have to wear sunglasses now when you go in the gym. So thank you very much for making that happen. Thank you for making that happen. It's important that we have lights in there so that the officials who officiate the sporting events are not looking negatively on Pacheco as being the darkest gym in the district. So
very good.
Thank you.
No problem. All right, thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. On to board member reports. Let's start with Mr. Lieb.
So a few things. Empty Bowls was a great success. Thank you to Mrs. Brazil. So many teachers, I won't list them all, but Creekside ceramics teacher, Los Banos Junior High, Pacheco High, and Los Banos High, two at Los Banos High. They definitely went above and beyond about motivating their students and having all these bowls made. We had a plethora of bowls, and for those who were at the event, it was incredible for people to walk around on the stage and get to choose their own custom-made bowl. So we had a record number of soups. We had 17 soups from restaurants, the hospital, our memory care facility, donated soup. So it was a great event, and we plan on doing it again next year. So thank you. I attended the Pacheco High softball and baseball crab feed. Thank you, Charlie. That was a great event. And as well, as always, Mr. McCullough, if he was a relative of mine, I'd be weighing 500 pounds because the pork loin lunch was incredible. And then I did videotape the creed that you in Spanish and English. And so I want to put that out there so people can see that. And hopefully tomorrow will be the competition. So yes, thank you very much for that. I did enjoy reading Dr. Seuss books last week in Andy Clark's fourth grade class. She did allude to it, and so I just have to say that I just read the book, and at the end, this little girl in the front row just raised her hand, and she said, "Is that an AR book? Is that an AR book? AR book?" And I didn't really know what she was talking about, and Andy Clark said, "Well, you guys need to find out." And so in unison, they all raised their desks and pulled out these Chromebooks, right? Well, I was in fourth grade. We didn't have Chromebooks. And I thought class was over. I thought the bell rang and they were getting ready to go home, and they're on their Chromebooks. And it was just surprising to me that these students are so cued into just going on the books and showing me that they're all, the book was AR, and I was blown away with that. I was part of the breakfast with Superintendent and listened to many of the comments that were made. Funny how many of the parents are concerned about the quality of the cafeteria food, and the students are not happy with the cafeteria food. I mean, probably not a majority of the students, but the comments that were made was about cafeteria food, and I don't know how to fix that. Can't put in a fast food restaurant at every campus. So. And I attended the city's Arbor Day ceremony on March 3rd, and loved seeing all the smiling faces. Again, our teachers are doing a wonderful job. These kindergarten through sixth grade students who wrote stories and created artwork for the contest, the Arbor Day contest, and they won awards, and they were there receiving their little saplings that they could plant at home. The teachers went way above and beyond by making sure that the students were creating the artwork and the stories, and so that was great. I spoke recently at the Parent Leadership Training Institute at Westside Monday evening on the importance of communication, and I was happy to see that there are parents out there who are taking time out of their busy schedule to be part of the system and learning how everything works. So that was refreshing to see that firsthand. And lastly, I attended the spring choral concert at Pacheco High Wednesday evening, and Los Banos Junior High, Creekside, Pacheco High were all on the stage singing at the same time. And the one choir director, I don't know her name, said that it would have been great to have all four schools up there, but unfortunately, Los Banos High doesn't have a choir director. So hopefully next year, when they do this, we can get all four schools up on the stage. So, and with that, that's it. I'm done. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. Ms. Gattuso.
Well, I just loved having the wrestlers here, and I love having students in our meeting tonight. I guess they're leaving. Oh well, but thank you for coming. I was able to go to 4 different schools this month and tour the facilities, and it's been very helpful to see the different facilities, see what the programs that the schools have, meeting with administrators, staff, going into classrooms. It's been an absolute wonderful experience for me, and just have a couple of more schools to go to. I was able to do Read Across America. I thought I was doing really great. I looked the book up online. I thought, yes, and it's an AR book, and yeah, it just didn't work out well for me. I'm a secondary person, so I thought this book was a good book. But I read at 4 classes at Grasslands. By the time I went to the 3rd class, I just begged the teacher for another book. So I apologize if you were one of the classroom teachers that I read in. I will do better next year. I promise I'll get a better book that's more engaging for students. But please ask, because I loved it. It was just a wonderful experience for me. I went to some of the same events that Mr. Lieb went to, so I'm not going to go over those, but I do want to thank you, Stu, for the great meal. It was absolutely wonderful, and watching the Creed in both languages was just phenomenal. So, thank you. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ms. Smith?
Hey, good evening. I went book shopping with my daughter, and we picked out a few books. I didn't read them through all the way in the bookstore, but when I got them home, they were scary and they were frightening. So I said to her, I can't read these books, Mrs. Clark's class. The kids would be terrified. So I had to go last minute with what I know, which is health and wellness. So I took a health and wellness book to her class, and I've never seen in my life so many interested kids that were asking questions about their own health, their diet, their lifestyle. So I think in that time that I was there, I was able to mold some diets, make some dietary changes, and maybe more active. So I hope that was what the outcome was, but they were very, very interested in what I had to say. Yeah. I even had a little girl say, what is diabetes? And that was really good because I love to explain what diabetes is, and they were able to comprehend, that information that I was able to give them. So I really appreciate that, her for having me there, and I think I had an impact on just that group of kids. I went to the spring choral concert over at Pacheco High School. It was a wonderful event. The instructor, I think her name was Mrs. Klein, a wonderful lady, comical, great personality, engaged the crowd. And what I took away from that, from those 3 schools there, they sang a song, We Are One. And I was kind of emotional about that point because it was a beautiful event. The songs are beautiful. They did a few foreign language songs, but We Are One is something that touched my heart because I just think our world right now and our school district, we need that. We need to have us come together as a group, as one, and figure some things out. So I think that for me was a great stepping stone for our district. So hopefully we can all hear that someday. It was a beautiful song and loved it. I've been going to mostly girls, I have girls sports, finished the basketball season, into baseball season, and then looking forward to volleyball season and track. And I just want to say that our Pacheco track team has outfitted our track team with some wonderful outfits that they're going to be putting out to the kids in the next couple of weeks or so. And I'm really looking forward to seeing them in their outfits. It's nice to see them go to different events and look like a real nice team and really organized. So our team has done that for us. So I really appreciate that. And, I also work with your students from RLP, health science students, come over to Los Banos Memorial Hospital. And I've had them since January, and they'll be there through the end of the year. And their health science interests. And so I have them on the OB department. I have some on OR. I have a couple on the medical surgical floor. And I have a couple in ER. Your students love the health science field. And so I am talking to them on a regular basis about that. And they're really enjoying it. And I'll be having those students, I think, through the end of this year. And this is the 3rd year they've been there. So they're really enjoying being on the campus in Los Banos. So thank you for that. And you guys have a nice evening.
Thank you. Ms. Veldale?
I also visited, I thought it was 5 schools, but we visited LFE, Pacheco, Junior High, Creekside, San Luis. I just know that I was so excited to see at our junior high, Los Banos Junior High, we now have an ag class, which was really exciting to go in and see Mr. Jacoby. Is that? Jacobo. And they're putting in, they have an area in the back now with chicken coops, and I know they're going to do eggs, and they have actually feeder hens or whatever you call them. So it was nice to see that because I know different pathways for kids, get kids excited about learning. So it was awesome to see that. And at Creekside, when someone talked about the thinking classroom and somebody's going to come and see these teachers, we happened to go into a math class where the teacher had the kids up and around the room at different papers, and they were working on math problems together. And I remember just thinking, wow, what an exciting place to be and what exciting learning. So it was exciting to see that at Creekside also. I read to 15 classrooms during Read Across America. I didn't say no to anyone who asked. Matter of fact, I think sometimes I knocked on my friend's door going, how come you didn't ask me? Can I come and read? And I read a scary book, but it was a scary, fun book, and the kids loved me. And matter of fact, a few kindergarten classes I went into makes me miss the classroom, because when I walk in, it's funny how kids just gravitate to you. They just all come around you and hug you. Kindergarten kids just do that. I just had a good time reading in the classrooms. I also went to the Arbor Day. I was lucky enough to be able to announce winners. It was great to see the participation at Arbor Day. I was excited to see the community come out and how many people participated at Arbor Day at a community event. So that was exciting. I was glad to be able to participate and announce winners. Stu, thank you for the lunch. That was awesome for your FFA week. I just have to tell you, my son just bought this giant barbecue. I think he's going to compete with you pretty soon. And his cooking. So he loves to cook, just like Stu does. And that's all I have. So thank you.
Thank you. Miss Moran,
Thank you. Is it on?
you're on.
Nope. I was hearing myself feedback, so I was like, am I on? I was able to read at Volta, so I read Oh, the Places You'll Go, and I think it had more of an impact on me. So the thing that I continuously mulled over that whole weekend after was life is all a balancing act, right? So it's talking about different paths that students are going to take, and some are scarier than others. And I kid you not, I was reading the book and just reflecting on my own life, right? How many times have we gone through scary paths, and you just kind of go. So I did have an engaging group. Some were a little bit more quiet than others, but overall, it was an amazing time that I had there. And so keep the invitations coming. I wish I could do 15. I was only able to do 3, but during that time, it was just an amazing time. I also represent the board on the Secondary Curriculum Council. I left very impressed with the work that the teachers do in vetting of software, the curriculum. I mean, that is really what's going on in the classroom. And so I left really impressed with the teachers that were there, the time it takes in terms of vetting through these software. So just one of the ones that really hit home to me is some of the software that is now in the classrooms that allows them to have over thousands of books at their fingertip. The nerd in me was like, how amazing, right? And the softwares can translate books into so many different languages. That is what technology can do for our kids in our district, right? So just eye-opening for that. So thank you for all the work. As a person that was there participating in a listening mode, I left very much more well-versed, but really proud of the work that goes on at this district. And lastly, I also will represent on the scholarship applications. I participated in that last year. It reinvigorated my own work as well, because I get to hear all the student stories. So I look forward to doing that in the upcoming month. I think that's when they get released. So with that said, please stay safe. We do have a flood warning coming through. So please stay safe and warm this weekend. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Munoz.
Hello, everybody. I really don't want to say I have no report. I missed last month's board meeting due to illness. Okay. I missed reading. I had to cancel out on the readings over at Miano with Mrs. Clark, and FFA luncheon with Mr. Stewart, and over at Lorena Velasco with Mrs. King. I really enjoyed reading for the kids. In January, I read over at Lorena Velasco, and it was amazing. You know, the kids really got involved, but I missed that. This whole month, I missed a whole month here. So even I attended a safety program over at Miano with Mrs. Diaz, correct? Okay. With that, there was some valuable information there. And I took that information over to PLTI, that's Parent Leadership Training Institute. And they have a class over at West Side every Monday night about 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. And I attend those meetings regularly. And I hear the parents' concerns because I talk to the parent. We have a lot of parents that are engaged in that Spanish and English class. But anyway, I took that information that I learned from the safety program that we had over traffic, all the accidents that were happening and why they were happening. And that information really helped parents understand what was going on. They also had concerns on Los Banos Junior High, or on, what is that, Miller? And Lewis, St. Louis, right? There's no crosswalk over at Place Road and St. Louis. They would like to see another crosswalk. And they were complaining about the drivers. They don't pay attention. They're speeding and this and that. And I told them it's a regular problem here. The percentage on accidents or incidents that are happening are what, 17%? It went up quite a bit, I think it was. But I took that information to them, and it was very helpful. So I'm there every other week, talking with them and helping them. I'm pretty sure I sent an email to Mr. Marshall, okay, about that situation. Okay, so we're really checking up on things here and how we can accommodate our parents. Okay, so then for the past 2 weeks, after I was sick, I was feeling ill, I was feeling better. I took off to Mariposa, and it snowed. Okay, we all got snowed in. It was 3 feet of snow. Some places were even higher, 4 or 5. Okay, so I was stuck for 2 weeks. The first week we lost power. So we were without power for a week. And we had to resort back into pioneer days, shoveling snow. We had propane, we at least had the stove working, but we made it work. For a week, we were without power. And then this last week here, the snow had to melt in order for me to get out. 4-wheel drive and chains, just not going to work with the snow. Not an area where I was at particularly. So this is why I wasn't here last week, and I really missed talking to the kids. So I have another invitation from Mrs. King that I'll fill out, and I hope I'll connect with Mrs. Clark and see what she's got. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Well, not to repeat what everybody just said, but I do want to, I read at 5 schools, Volta, Lorena Velasco, Miano, Grasslands, and Westside. And I want to thank the teachers and the principals who invited me to speak. I too read in 15 classes. And actually, I'm going to Lorena Velasco tomorrow, so I'll be 16. It's a contest. Who can read the most? Who can read the most? But it is really one of the best things about being a board member is getting into the classrooms, and it's really fun. And I read all grade levels, but I taught junior high for 37 years, and I can't tell you how many teachers told me many times that they would never set foot in a 7th and 8th grade classroom because those kids are just crazy. I absolutely love teaching junior high, and I really enjoyed it. But back a few hundred years ago when I first was here, and during that time, Julie Rice, who was a kindergarten teacher at LBE, used to invite me every year to play piano for her kindergarten class for their Christmas concert. And that was probably the most scariest time I ever had in a classroom in my life. Those little kindergartners, I don't know how they scare me. I'll go take the junior high kids anywhere. But I did read to a couple of kindergarten classes in this of the 15, and they were absolutely great kids. And so I'm going to have a second thought about kindergartners now, but I truly love them. But it was a great opportunity speaking in all the classrooms, or reading in all the classrooms. So thanks again to everybody who invited all of us to come and read. We really do enjoy getting into the classrooms. And with that, we're going to move on to first item of new business, which is our mid-year LCAP update. Welcome, Dr. Ritchie.
Thank you. I'm over that age now. I first started wearing this about a week ago. My kids have just had a great time seeing it, so we'll see. Yeah, I have to wear it. All right. So tonight, board, we're bringing before you the mid-year LCAP report. This is not required by state law, but it's considered best practice. So it's an opportunity to share kind of what we're doing in utilizing the LCAP to support our students, our staff, and our community. Also talk about the different metrics that we're using to measure our success and areas of growth. So on this, for those who may not know much about it, the LCAP is called the Local Control and Accountability Plan. It's a 3-year plan, describes our goals, actions, services, expenditures. It has to be updated annually. This occurs in June. And so this today is just providing an update for you. So with this, we have the way it's set up today is we'll go over each goal. Goals. There are 4 goals in the LCAP, and each part will have a discussion of the metrics, and we call them glows and grows. Glows are things that are going well. Grows are things that, well, we can improve on. And it's always an opportunity. And then we'll also spend some time talking about the different actions that we have done and what we've completed, where we're in progress, and the ones we haven't started yet and why. So first off, our goal 1 is about increasing college career readiness rates of our EL and students with disabilities by 15% by June 2024. This was a great goal when we put it in. We didn't realize that there would be no college and career readiness rate published by the state for 2 years. The first college career readiness rate that we will get from the state will be in December of 2023, which will be just at the end of the 3-year this 3-year LCAP. So we'll see how well we did. But what we are looking at today, some of the things we are using to measure our progress toward this goal is first our reclassification rate. You see there we had 13.5% of our English language students were reclassified as English language proficient this past year. That's a growth of about 5% over previous years, and also that's the highest reclassification rate in the last decade. So even prior to the pre-pandemic. We also had over 48% of our EL students are considered making progress toward acquiring English. That's students who moved up 1 level as determined by the LPAC assessment. Our goal is to be around 50%, so we're continuing to move toward that. Areas of growth, as it was shared when in the fall when the CAP scores came out, we saw sharp declines in our English language arts and mathematics achievement scores. That's no surprise. We're actually, I think as was also shared, is that we're actually on par with the rest of the county and also the state in terms of the decline. It's not something that we look at as it's abnormal, but it's also something we're concerned about and we want to improve. And we'll be asking ourselves lots of questions about, is this purely pandemic related, or are there other things that we need to improve upon in our practices to be able to help our students be more successful? Some of the actions for the goal that we are currently purchasing. We purchased a new curriculum for English learners. We provided more counseling services. We are providing high dosage tutoring, parent workshops. In fact, Ms. Moreno will be taking a group of parents to the CABE conference here in about 2 weeks. They are super excited. I've been told many, many times. And so we're excited to share that with them. Also, we've been buying additional curriculum supplies materials for our special education classes. Some of the ones that haven't yet started is because it's in the summer. There's a fantastic program for UC Merced that we participated in where 8th grade students get to go and participate on campus at UC Merced for a week. We started during the pandemic, so it was all virtual, but it's been a fantastic program. And also one that we will be doing this summer is the Summer Melt Counselor. And a Summer Melt Counselor is a counselor who is there for our graduates. What we found is that when our students graduate from high school, we have so many that have been accepted to college. They're excited. They share with everyone. But then when you see the students actually enroll after their graduation, it's far less than have been accepted. And part of that is because they don't know how to matriculate the college enrollment process, choosing their classes, getting their scholarships taken care of, paying for tuition, books, materials, and finding housing. So our idea is that we're going to have a counselor affiliated with summer school where students will be able to know where to go, and that will be there specifically to help our graduates with any of their matriculation issues with calling their colleges, getting courses set up, things of that nature. Our second goal is what's considered a broad goal. This is about basically social emotional behavioral learning and creating a system of support for our students. One of the goals is that, and according to the California Healthy Kids survey that we administer every year, the percent of students who stated that they felt chronic sadness or hopelessness declined. Now, as you note, the numbers on there aren't great. We have almost half of our 11th grade students, and we have a third of our 7th grade students who stated that they felt chronic sadness or hopelessness in the last 12 months. That shows that even though that we saw their decline, that's still an area of emphasis and something that we have to address, build to support our students as they come out of the pandemic. And that was a dramatic increase from prior to the pandemic. Areas of growth, we've heard about the concerns about school safety, about the increase in fights, issues when students have returned to campus after distance learning. And what we've seen is an increase in the percentage of students suspended. We had 7.5% of all of our students were suspended at least once during the 2021-22 school year. Of that, 13.9% of African American students, despite only making up 1% of our population, 13.9% of our African American students were suspended at least one day. Foster youth, also making up less than 1% of our population, over 17.5% of our foster youth were suspended at least one day. I would just say this, and we will be talking about this in the future as we talk about school safety. We cannot suspend our way out of school discipline. That is something that is not going to work. And so we have to address the causes. We have to address the main issues that are going on with our students. And punitive, reactive policies and procedures are not going to help our students become less rambunctious or have less issues. And that's one of the reasons we'll talk about some of the actions that we have here in a bit. Another issue is chronic absenteeism. Typically, our district, we usually have really great attendance. We're typically around 12, since chronic absenteeism became a thing, about 12 to 13%. 48% of our students last year have been declared chronically absent. That's 7 or more absences in a school year. I think it's that, it might be 10. That's a massive amount of students. We've qualified for district assistance from the state because of our chronic absenteeism. Once again, we are not the only school district. The chronic absenteeism rate for the state of California is 33%. So it's everywhere has gone up. However, one of the things that's coming out right now is that the question of, everyone thought that after distance learning, kids coming back, there'd be some, it's just coming back in school. We're not seeing the absenteeism rates drop as much as we thought we would. And so there's a lot more going on than just kids got used to distance learning. There's other issues. And so that's something that we will need to continue to address. Also, according to our California Healthy Kids survey, there's a decrease in percentage of staff, students in our community perceive our schools as safe or very safe. So there's a perception out there that schools are not as safe as they once were. And so, perception is reality. That, again, is something that we're taking note of and something we'll be addressing. The goals we have for the actions we have for goal 2, we have provided additional counselors. We have a social emotional learning program that junior high school is being implemented. Implementation of restorative practices, PBIS. We have contract with Sierra Vista to provide mental health services, clinical services to our students, as well as programs to support attendance. And we've discussed before about how we added so many counselors to our system. We recognize that our system, the way it was presently constituted, was not designed to house that many counselors or to provide them clear direction. So our counselors have been doing an incredible job working with a company called Hatching Results to reevaluate our counseling services, the way we provide services, and looking at how we can better serve our students. And so they are working through that. We'll be bringing we'll have them present to the board here at the end of the year, some of the ideas that they have and some of the things we'll be doing going forward. Something else I just need to note with all this, because this one is a bit of the doom and gloom slide, is that we added lots of personnel. That takes time to have an effect, because this is all really a lot about relationships and about growing trust. And so we'll see the effect of our counselors. I'm expecting Next year, we should see some decrease in some of those metrics that we're looking at. And we should also be able to see some of the effects of our counselors and the work that they're putting in with our students. Our third goal is our academic goal. We saw some tremendous growth and some glows there in our 12th grade. Our A through G readiness rate, this percent of students who graduate prepare for college is almost 50%, which for a district in the Central Valley is tremendous. And our goal is to increase past 50%, and we are pretty sure we can do that. Also, the EAP college preparedness rate, this is the percent of students who met or exceeded standards on the CASP and ELA or math. They are considered conditionally ready or ready. And so we have 54% of our graduates were considered conditionally ready or ready, and 26.9% of our students in mathematics. That is one of the highest scores in the entire county. Our percentage of students who pass with an AP exam or higher, that rose dramatically. It was only 30% last year. It rose to 47% this year. So it's something that we're excited about. Once again, we discussed before that the decline in our CAS scores, it's about a 20-point decline in both ELA and mathematics. And so I was looking at that. Once again, we're looking at what are we doing in terms of instruction, what are we doing in terms of curriculum, what are we doing in terms of support for our teaching staff and for our students. Some of the actions that we've completed with the academic goals is we've introduced a district-wide assessment system, the NWEA MAP assessments. It's a way for us to be able to do an apple-to-apple comparison of students, and also we can track students' growth over time in reading and in mathematics, and it allows us to really be able to see where are our areas for growth and where are our areas of success and what can we do work on that. We also continue to fund the Director of English Learner Migrant Education, and see the spelling error there. That position is support one of our most at-risk student populations that need continual support. Also, we have intervention students for students, curriculum. We've been spending a lot of time and energy and money on professional learning communities, giving teachers and giving schools the tools to be able to work together collaboratively to be able to affect positive change in their schools and their students. Also supporting students for high-stake assessments and the summer learning programs, as you see, we're preparing for that right now. And our fourth goal is what's called a maintenance goal. This is I call it the keeping the lights on goal. It's the one where this is money we set aside to be able to support, just be able to maintain the level that we want in our schools. Some of the things, the goals we have is that our number of parents participating in the LCAP survey has increased every year. We saw a decline in the high school dropout rate from the high during the pandemic, which was 6%, to this year 2.7%. We'd like to have that to be 1% or lower. And the increase of the number of graduates who are CTE program completers, this is one we're very excited about because we know that not all students want to go straight to college. And we are proud of the number of CTE programs, that's ag, culinary arts, the medical pathways, that allow students to leave high school with a certificate or a licensure that allows them to go enter the job force directly. And so we have, between the high schools, we had 67 students, which was an increase of about 12 students from the year before. We'd like to continue to grow those programs so that we have over 100 in the next couple of years. An area of growth is that our FIT reports, we have only 8 out of 16 schools reported a level of good or exemplary. Part of that is that we brought in an outside organization to come in and to conduct the FIT reports, and to their school inspectors. They came in and they took a little bit more critical eye as to where our needs were and identified several areas that need to be addressed and which are being addressed now at this time. Some of the actions they've taken, supporting the maintenance goal of supporting the MESA. We're hopefully, I think, is it next year, Alejandro, we're done with the COP? 2 years. 2 years, okay. So in 2 years, we'll be done making payments for Creekside, and that'll be nice. With the Hanover research contract that allows us to do outreach. We've conducted the LCAP survey. We also have conducted focus groups with our certificate staff, as well as interviews with our classified staff that we've been able to find more information about. We gained greater insight into some of the issues that they feel that face the district and ways that they want to be supported. Things that we continue to support are CT programs, after-school programs, facilities improvement, and providing supplies and operations and instructional support. So in summary, our students are making progress. That's one, I think, the things that it's very easy to get caught up in a number here or there and say, well, it's all doom and gloom, but our students are making progress. It's not where it needs to be. There's things to work on, but we are doing great things in Los Banos Unified. One thing is clear that was clear during the pandemic and it's clear now. Our students are struggling with their social emotional well-being. And so that's going to continue to require additional resources and support for students and teachers and all staff because it's not just a one size fits all. We have facilities issues that need to be addressed and that are not going away. As things get older, they all start to wear down a little bit. Safety continues to be a priority, but as I said before, we will not suspend our way out of discipline issues, and that's important to remember. And that to really support our students and support our schools, it's about taking a proactive approach and seeing how we can best help our schools and our students work with them to be able to avoid situations before they happen. But at the end of everything, we're focused on our student needs and we're focused on their learning. Are there any questions?
All right. Any questions for Dr. Ritchie? Okay, Mr. Munoz?
Mr. Ritchie,
Yes, sir.
you mentioned chronic absenteeism, right?
Absenteeism, yes, sir.
Absenteeism, okay. What is that exactly?
Chronic absenteeism, so when a student's absent one day, they're absent. If the student is absent 3 days, they're truant. Chronic absenteeism, and I should have had the number off, it's either 7 or 10, I can't remember which one it is, but it's when a student is absent, I said more than 7 or 10 days in a given year. So when you see that number, we have it was 48.5%. That's the number of students who had more than 7 absences in a given year. And that was last year. Typically, in our district, that's about 12 to 13%. And so if you want to put this in as dollars and cents, Alejandro Amir can tell you better than I could, but that means our ADA is much lower. And as we know that we're not paid by enrollment, we're paid by ADA. And so if we don't have students attending, we're going to receive less funding. And so far we've been funded based on the pre-pandemic rates, but that's going to go away. And when it does, if we haven't started to have more students attend as we did before, we will see a decrease in our general fund.
Do we know why are they not interested in coming to school?
Students have never been interested in coming to school, Mr. Munoz.
Yeah, I know.
I never was. But
I know we got both sides.
Yeah, to answer your question, that's the $1 million question right now, really, was what's going on. Because after last year, the explanation was it's the first year back. Students had gone through distance learning. It's first year back, all students have to be there. So that's where we see that 48%. That's where everyone's like, well, okay. What we're seeing this year, our attendance, we just did a review of it just last week. Our attendance in the fall was not great. And we had some sickness going through late fall. Our January was actually pretty good, and our February was looking pretty good as well. However, we'll see how it progresses because once spring fever hits, that's when you usually see a drop-off in attendance again. We are not anywhere near our pre-pandemic levels, but we're definitely not at that 48%. So I'm expecting us to probably be in the 20s for this coming year, but we'll see where we're at. So it's going to decrease, but it's not decreasing as much as we would like, and so we need to take a harder look at what are the causes and how can we address them.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Dr. Ritchie, thank
Thank
you.
you.
On to our second interim budget report. Alejandra.
Good evening, board members. I have a lot for you. Let's see. Okay, so great thing that Sean presented the LCAP report because a lot of the funding is related to LCAP. So you'll see me refer to his report, the actions and goals, and what our funding is composed of. So tonight we're going to be going over our second interim report. Second interim reporting period is from July 1st to January 31st. we do this period every March, and other reportings are required in case we don't meet our financial obligations. That's what we refer to our third interim. And then June's budget presentation is coming up very closely right after our May revise. So there's 3 types of budget certification. We have our positive certification when the district's able to meet their financial obligations in a 3-year period. The qualified certifications, we may not meeting one of the multi-year projections. And then there's a negative certification. We know that we're not going to be able to pay our bills, even now, like starting now. So great thing is our summary for second interim, we are certifying as a positive certification. District's enrollments at 11,001. Our ADA is projected at 9693, which is a decrease in what Sean was referring to. We previously had higher ADAs, but now it's a big difference. 11,000 students, and we have an average attendance of 9,600. So you'll see that that's a big decrease. School districts in California are funded based on ADA, not enrollment. So it's very important to know that. The unduplicated pupil percentage has increased to 77% compared to first interim. That is affected by alternative income form applications. In our first interim, I presented that there was a drastic drop in applications. So what we were doing is calling parents. I was getting subs, extra time to make sure we get those applications. We're so grateful that we were able to get those applications from parents with all the support from the school sites. All of them, all hands on deck on that. So we did see a big increase on that. So you'll see a reflection in our revenue increase in the following slides. Recently in January, we attended the governor's budget. A lot of information was provided. Some of it was the governor acknowledged that there was a passage of the Proposition 28, which is the arts and music school funds. We don't know what that looks like for us, but they know they're approving a certain portion. That's going to be funded through our apportionment allocation. And once we get that information, I'll share with the board how much that is and what we're supposed to do and what plan Sean has to do. We did see, on the other hand, we did see a decrease in our arts and music instructional arts block grant. It's 1.2 billion as a whole. So once we know how much it's going to affect us personally at our site, we did get allocated 6 million. So 1 billion in California, we're probably looking at half of it getting gone because the state's in deficit right now. They are going to, the governor is including an $855 million ongoing to support the second year of that TK transition period, but they're not going to fund our facilities right now. They're currently, they're going to delay some of the funding, about $500 million for school districts in California for the facilities building. We are still required to have that building in place, so we're working very hard and try to figure out how to get the money to get our building done by the requirement. The governor does have budget proposals for childcare development programs and our nutrition programs. One of the important topics that was talked in the governor's budget and recent articles with school services is that the governor is proposing to fund full COLA next year by doing some adjustments in their budget. Meaning right now they have an estimated $22.5 million deficit statewide. They don't have money right now. So they're cutting programs on their side to try to make this COLA happen. Therefore, it leads for us funding delays, reductions, and what we refer to deferrals. So they're saying they're going to give us the 8% for next year, but they're saying we're going to give it to you. We don't know when. So we have to project and prepare for that on our end. So some changes from first to second interim. Unrestricted funds, as you can see, the LCAP, which is included in the LCAP. There is an increase of 5.9 million. Alternative income form applications made that happen. Without those applications, we wouldn't have been where we are now from first to second interim. Some other things to note is that some of that increase in the alternative income application affects our LCAP plan. So if we get more applications, more money go to the LCAP plan that Sean has built already. So we have about 3.5 million allocated additional to our LCAP plan. Those funds, that we're receiving from the state must be used according to the LCAP plan. So it must demonstrate an increased improved services for students. Cannot use those funds for anything else but according to Sean's plan. Some changes for restricted from first interim to second interim. So it looks like we were awarded some new grants. We have and they're restricted funds, meaning I could only use it for these particular reasons. We have the after-school program, summer program. They got about $520,000. So SAC's preparing some variety of things for the program that we're looking at right now. Special ed program that they received about $400,000. Some other smaller programs, Department of Rehabilitation. We have Medi-Cal, special ed early intervention makes up the total increase from first to second interim about 1.3 million. What does that mean? That means that I'm receiving more money for these programs that I have to budget into my categories, my 4s and 5s, services, supplies, timesheets for additional support. That's when you see a change for an increase of budget from first to second. So when people review our budgets and they question, well, why did it increase? Well, these programs are specifically and required to be spent in them. So what I did in the following I thought it had one of the slides. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. I have it here. In our second interim report book, and it shows the breakdown of what our restricted programs are for and what they're supposed to be spent on. And I can't use it anything but those programs. I can't move these funds to cover other expenses because these are federal and state regulated funds, and they provide us a resource guidelines that we have to budget in. And I have to reflect it in our budget, meaning if I'm given money, I have to make a budget for it, and that's when you guys see an increase in our 4s and 5s or even in our 1s and 2s. And that's why the reason we separate them, because we know we're required to spend it in those categories. So let's review our funding. How are school funded? How are we funded as a whole? So we use our LCFF calculator that is provided by the state, and Big Mac regulates the calculator. We enter the information according to our district, and they are funded by base grant, grade span adjustments, supplemental and concentration, and some add-ons that we've been grandfathered from other years. So as you can see, some of the changes and difference is because of the supplemental and concentration grant, which is the component of our LCAP plan. That $5.9 million is a result of the alternative income form applications that we received. Again, it must be spent on actions that are designed to increase and improve services for students. And that's what we follow hand in hand, Sean and I, to make sure those funds are spent the way they're supposed to be spent. Breaking it down even further, the district received a COLA of 6.56. They did receive an add-on to the calculator of the base grant calculation. So the COLA is 6.56. The additional add-on is on the formula that was in the calculator. So what does that mean? What does that look like? How much is that? That's what I would start questioning. So what does that look like for us? So you will notice that I've had 3 periods, my budget adoption that I presented to you guys in June. Then you'll have first interim to the right, and then the bottom currently right now as a second interim. And what I want to compare is the changes from first to second interim. Our base grant really hasn't changed. What changed is our supplemental and concentration because of the applications we received. We did a portion of the formula that with the add-on that adds up to 13.26 is designated for specific things. In this case, it's for the TK expansion. As I mentioned earlier, the state is not giving us the funding at this moment for the building. We're still mandated to have the building ready and done for them in a few years. And Sherry and Amir are working highly to make this happen. But that means the state gives us money. Hey, it's your job to allocate whatever the portion it is for this building and make sure it goes designated for that, and which we are. We're allocating a portion of the our allotment to the TK, plus the additional supplemental and concentration goes to the LCAP plan. So let's summarize our unrestricted and restricted as a combined whole. This includes those restricted programs I mentioned earlier, our ACES grants, special ed, some other ones, learning loss, ESSER. We have ESSER 1, 2, 3, I think, then we have GEAR 1, 2, and 3. So it just continues. We have a lot of restricted programs. The beginning balance as of July 1st was at 28 million, revenues at 229, expenditures at 239, leaving an ending balance of 19 million. What does that 19 million consist of? Non-spendable is our cash to be able to use at sites, and then we have restricted of that. We know we're not going to spend all the funds at once because we have some carryover going into other years for restricted programs. We have it designated for that. We do have the payroll reserves at 3.2 million, which has dropped drastically compared to other years. And then we have our committed for the LCAP and TK expansion, as we mentioned earlier in the other slides. So let's give you a visual of where the funds are being spent. Here you can see in the pie graph that about $99 million of our budget, which is 75% of our unrestricted budgets, it's spent on salaries and benefits for our employees. So majority of the budget is directly for our staff. On the restricted side, I want to focus on what I said previously. The state provides us with restricted resources to be spent on the assigned categories based on the state and federal guidelines. If funds are not spent in these categories in the current year, then these funds are carried over to the next year. And this is what we call carryover. So when we budget the items, we budget it based on the grant they're given, and they want to see that we're spending it and we have it budget. Let's say we don't spend it this year. And then it goes carryovers. What it does, it falls into our fund balance, and then we have to rebudget it again in first interim because they said even if you have it in your fund balance, you still need to spend it in the designated areas. If you don't spend it, just then basically give it back. If I don't spend it where it's supposed to be in our audit, then I have to pay it back by general fund. So that money gets audited, regulated annually. Okay. This slide is the one I needed before that. I'm sorry. Somehow they got moved. So the following slide is a breakdown of our research restricted resources, and it shows where they're designated and budgeted. This is a reflection of the increases in our 4s and 5s and where they're supposed to be spent in. I wanted to just be transparent and show what monies the district has received and where it's currently sitting and why it's sitting in that specific resource. And as I mentioned earlier, it needs to be spent in this category. I cannot move that money to cover general fund expenses because if we get caught, we have to pay it back. Eventually, they do give us a period. If we don't spend the carryover by the next fiscal year, then I have to return the money. We don't want to be in that case. We want to make sure we use the money that they're giving us as best possible, and that way we don't have as much carryover. But as you guys seen, the district has received so many forms of monies due to COVID, learning loss, and we're managing it very effectively because we're spending it down.
Alejandra, do you ever transfer unrestricted money into the restricted account for anything?
Oh, great question. It is prohibited for us to do that. It won't even let us transfer it from the restricted because it red flags it. So the state has a SACS coding that if we transfer money, it really puts a red flag on that. And then when we get audited, they're going to be, why are you using it to cover general fund expenditures? A lot of this will lead to like findings, and it will cost the district a lot of money because then we have to explain to the state and the auditors why we would do that. It's never mixed. That's why we keep unrestricted and restricted separate, just to make sure that the district is in compliance and following regulations by the state and federal government.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to do the multi-year projection assumptions. So I'm going to be presenting our multi-year projections. As a district, we're required to provide and show in every interim period that we're able to meet our financial obligations in a 3-year period. When I built this multi-year projection, I have to make assumptions based on the information provided by the state, school services in this case. In this case, I'm going to be projecting flat enrollment in our MYP just because we haven't seen much of an increase. It continues to decline in our ADA. To be conservative, we're going to continue that ADA as a flat. Also for our MYP, we include school services information of our COLA, cost of living. Our unduplicated pupil percentage has increased due to those applications. What we're going to do this year is to make sure we start very early to try to connect with the parents early enough to have them by first intro. This time around, we didn't connect as fast as we wanted to, but we're trying to change that around starting July 1st. We know that step and column increases every year, STIRS and PERS. Mostly PERS is going to be increasing in the following years, and we see an increase in those. Health and welfare is projected to increase. Our long-term obligations are part of our multi-year obligations. And because I'm building our multi-year projections as of January 31st, it doesn't include any settlements after the fact. This is just everything before. So I did want to share that I did mention earlier that we know the state's going through a deficit. So what does the district have to do to prepare in case we don't get all our money? I have to create a multi-year projection and assume we're going to get a portion of the money to protect the district to make sure we're able to meet our payroll monthly, our financial obligations monthly, pay our utilities and operations. So what this looks like is for our first year, we have the COLA that was awarded by the state at 6.56. We're expected a fund balance of $14 million. We do have the our TK, our payroll reserves, our non-spendable in there in the bottom as components that is committed, leaving about a 10% average, reserve average, and it keeps us in compliance with the state. So what I did for 23-24, that 8.13 COLA that was provided and say the state's like, we're going to make it happen. We're going to do some movement and cut some things to try to make this happen, but we're not going to give it to you all at once. So we prepare as a district how much, an estimate, an assumption, we're going to get 5.13 of that COLA. What does that look like? That means it looks like we're getting 140 revenue, expenditures continue to increase, and leaving a ending fund balance about 20 million. We know some of it is committed to specific programs. We're still at 9% reserve level, so we're still okay. But if we don't get that 5.13, what about we get 3%? What does that look like? Are we ready for any time, any month periods that we're not going to receive the money? So as you can see, it's about 136 in revenue. Our expenses are at 134, leaving a fund balance of 16 million, which about 6% is a big drop compared to the other year, the other assumption. I did talk to the county regarding this, and they're projecting deferrals, meaning we're not going to get the money. The first apportionment is going to be our normal apportionment, and then once the state has enough money to give the school sites, the district's money, then they'll give us another additional apportionment. There are projections, this is as of last week, is we'll get most of our money at the end of next June. We just need to, as a district, we need to prepare to be able to meet our payroll by having enough money in our balances. So that's when we strategize and figure out how the district's going to prepare for this. So our final synopsis of the second interim, we are going to be certifying as a positive because we have enough money to sustain our financial obligations based on the information is provided. Operations continue to be modified due to COVID because we do see an impact in our ADA. Enrollment continues to be volatile, which affects our ADA. Pension contributions continue to increase as well as health benefits, special ed, and transportation. LBUSD is aware that the state has a deficit of $22.5 billion. That involves the state incorporating funding delays, reductions, and triggers reductions, and even borrowing. We're preventing borrowing because it's very expensive, because if they're expecting us to if they're projecting our money to be received until next June for 23-24, we need to have enough money to maintain our regular monthly obligations, and that's what we're preparing for now. One thing I wanted to add to this, I'm always open for any budget workshops. I I know it's a lot of information. I know restricted and restricted can be a little confusing. And sorry, it's hot. And I'm always welcome. Email me and anyone in our district. I'm happy to do a budget workshop for it. Any questions?
Any questions? Lori? Okay.
Okay. On the alternative income applications,
Yes.
it was 78%, it's that unduplicated student, right? 78%,
Correct.
is that what that was? Is that up or is it down? Historically,
Historically, like 5 years ago when it first began, it was like 80%. 82%. It was high. It was going up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and rough estimate, percentage-wise, how many returns did you get?
We got the reason there's a big difference is because cafeteria used to be able to accept these applications because COVID told them, hey, you can't do that anymore. We had to introduce this new form to parents.
Right. I understand that. That's why I'm asking the percentage, because I think that those forms, they're just online, correct? I mean, they have to electronically fill the forms out.
We have them paper. We have them
You
available.
do have paper.
Yeah, we
Okay,
have both.
Because that's one thing I've heard out in the community is that some parents just don't want to fill them out electronically. And so I'm just thinking percentage-wise, maybe we can increase that if we're even having somebody at the sites have them fill them out and then they input it or whatever. I mean, I know I used to have to do that at our school. Just some suggestions.
That's a great idea. I like that. The other thing the sites were mentioning, hey, what if we do it back to school event and have a booth for that? And this year be more diligent to start earlier enough to get those applications by first interim, so that way we don't see our revenue affected from the beginning.
Because it's all about the dollars. I mean,
it
computes the dollars.
encouraging them to fill this new application they're not used to out, and they're like, we never had to do this before. Why do we have to do this now? And it's just to get more revenue for your school sites. That's how we're trying to encourage students. But I will take that back, and that way we can strategize for July and start right away.
Great, thank you.
Yes, we used to have to manually enter every application, which was very time consuming. We just, many school sites use this rocket scan software where you just scan it and it reads it for you. And it reduced the amount of manual input from staff. So we didn't have that before because we didn't have to do that because we were so relying on food services applications. Now that we're better prepared, we're hoping for a better successful year this coming up year.
Thank you.
All right. Okay.
So just want to make sure, because I hear different things being said. So restricted funds, is there any way that restricted funds, if it's not being used 1 year and it carries over the next year, is there any scenarios whereby restricted funds become unrestricted?
No.
So once they're restricted, they're restricted.
They're always restricted. I've gotten billed for a resource that years ago from here that they wanted the money back. It looks like kids didn't spend it. We need it. So if I didn't have the money sitting there, I would have to take it out of general fund to cover it. It gets audited. It gets reviewed. The auditors pull the resources, especially the federal ones. Those are very, I can't move it, anything else. But I have to show when they pull it out in my audits coming up next month. I have to pull and show them what I expensed for and how it relates to the allowable uses. So that's why CDE provides the award letter with the resource, and then they provide a list of items of what I can expense that money. And it takes a lot of time to go over that, and I would love to go over that in a budget workshop to show them, let's pull up one of the resources. Let's pull up 3213 SR3. Let's look what we could use it for. And then share that knowledge to the public, and that way they could see for themselves that I'm only using it and budgeting in these categories.
For books and supplies. So we can have, I'm just making this number up, 40 million. It's just going to sit there for only for books and supplies, cannot be used for anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So my suggestion is set some dates and times for your budget, workshops, and
just open it for public.
You bet. Let's go.
Okay, I love that. Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions?
Well, thank you. Now we get to vote.
Yes.
So I need a motion to approve and certify the district will be able to meet its financial obligations for the current year and the 2 subsequent fiscal years.
Go ahead and second that.
We got a motion by Member Smith, seconded by Member Munoz, to approve and certify the district will be able to meet its financial obligations for the current year, the next 2 subsequent fiscal years. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried unanimously. Thank you. And you're going to be up here for a while, so.
I know.
Next item is yours. On to item C, increase workdays for accounting assistants.
Yes, so it is recommended the board approve increasing workdays for our accounting assistants from 224 to 246 as the beginning of the new fiscal year 23-24. What we've been doing, and we still have them come in because bills need to be paid, audits, reviews continue to happen. And what they've been doing for the years, they've just been getting timesheet, comp time, overtime to try to meet their deadlines. It's been happening probably from when I started from the beginning, 4 to 5 years now at this point. They've been getting paid on a timesheet. Now I'd like to move forward to make it as part of their contract because they're already doing it and we're already paying them for them. It's a $25,000 difference, and they'll be able to meet their requirements in their job duties.
Right. Any questions on this item? Comments? Motion? Got a motion by Member Smith, seconded by Member Lieb, to approve the increased workdays for accounting assistants. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And it's carried unanimously. All right. Summer school pay rate for 22-23.
It is recommended the board approve the LBUSD rate for summer school for the summer. County wanted us to bring it to the board. That way we have something officially reviewed.
All right. Comments, questions? Motion? We got a motion by Member Gattuso, seconded by Member Valadeo, to approve the summer school pay rate for 22-23. Further discussion or comments? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? It's carried unanimously. On to item E, PERS Golden Handshake for classified employees.
So the only difference from last board meeting to this one, I had to include the amount allocation when I was submitting the Golden Handshake. The county was asking what the projected amount did to go to the board. That's what I included. The changes, the estimated cost for the Golden Handshake based on an estimated 25 individual based on the years of working. We just look at the highest years and we made a calculation with the benefits. We're looking at 1.3 million for those 2 years. So that's the only difference from the first.
Okay. All right. Questions, comments? All right. We're going to open the public hearing on this item at 9:03. Is there anybody here for the public hearing? So we will close the hearing at 9:03. And I do need a motion and a second to adopt the resolution. Got a motion by Member Valadeo, seconded by Member Lieb, to adopt the PERS Golden Handshake for classified employees resolution. Roll call, Tina?
Ms. Gattuso? Mr. Lieb?
Yes.
Ms. Moran? Mr. Munoz?
Yes.
Ms. Smith? Ms. Valadeo? Mr. Pereira?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. On to item F, Associated Student Body Operating Manual. Alejandra.
It is recommended that the board adopt the student body operating manual that aligns with LBUSD policy and procedures. Recently, there were some trainings with FICMAC, and FICMAC said that the district needs to adopt a manual as well, not just go on theirs, because we have practices that are unique to our districts. So we reviewed in their manual and created our own. This is the first we started. We reviewed in the practices. We are doing them, but we just needed something official, something we could provide to the students. What we want to do is have ASB meetings and provide these manuals in the ASB meeting with the coaches, with the advisors, so they have something to keep for themselves instead of like $300-page booklet, something simpler to our district.
Okay. Questions? Comments? Go ahead.
So you're saying that in the past of the history of our district, we've had a 300-page binder to go by and not an actual.
We had a FICMAC manual.
Not a manual.
And FICMAC said, you guys need to have your own manual. We went to a training, the districts need to adopt their own manual. So I was looking at other districts' manuals on their own, and they have FICMAC, as in case your manual doesn't cover it, FICMAC reviews it, and then if there's nothing there, then we just contact FICMAC directly.
And that's something new that you ran across?
Yeah, in our training in January.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, we've been working on this for the past month to get something official and together on it.
Okay.
Ms. Gattuso?
Oh, no,
Oh.
no, I'm good.
All right, you
Sorry.
pushed your button. Okay, all right. Oh. Okay, let's just. Okay. Somebody touched something. All right. All right. Any other questions? Comments? Motion, please. We got a motion by Member Gattuso, seconded by Member Moran, to adopt the Associated Student Body Operating Manual. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, carried unanimously. Policy updates.
It is recommended the board declares intent to adopt the updates on policies. This is a VP 3290 gifts, grants, and bequests, business and non-instructional operations. Recently in our FICMAC training that we had in January, they wanted us, we reviewed a lot, they went over a lot of board policies, what it needs to include, and the reason we needed to include a donation of what's accepted because or the value of it. Sometimes we get smaller donations and we bring it to you guys because there's no set amount on there. We compared other districts. I pulled up other board policies and they're very high, like at 5,000, 10,000. I feel like 500 is a good way to start and see how the board feels about it. And if we need to increase that, we could later talk about it, but this is just a first read to try to incorporate that in our board policy.
All right, any questions? Is this also the AR, or are you just doing the,
Just the,
they're both on here, so
it's a
they're both in this,
3290.
yeah, they're both in the same agenda item, so did you want to include both? The board policy and the AR?
Yes, I do, because it's part of the same policy in the bottom. 3290 gifts, grants, and bequests.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Yes, I do.
Board, BP, board policy, AR is administrative regulation which is a separate set of rules. All right, so, any comments or questions? If not, I need a motion to, declare the intent to adopt both the, board policy and the AR. Got a motion by Member Lieb, seconded by Member Gattuso to, declare the intent to adopt Board Policy 3290 and AR 6145.5. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, it is carried. And Alejandra's back for item H.
Should have just had a special board meeting for me, right? The next one, it is recommended the board intend to update the following board policy. Where is it? I'm sorry.
We're on the transportation plan.
We're in the transportation. Oh, yeah,
Yes.
sorry.
That was the AR you were doing.
Yes. It is recommended that the board will hold a public hearing and then approve the attached transportation plan that was provided. Recently, the state has awarded, beginning this fiscal year, to give us 60% of our expenditures for last year. These are funds we already expensed. It's to cover our transportation, and the plan has $3 million showing that we expensed last year. So every year we'll be updating if needed, and then reflecting how much the state is providing us due to our expenditures in our transportation.
All right. With that, we will open the public hearing on this item at 9:09. Is there anybody that wishes to speak on this item? All right, seeing no one come forward, we will close the public hearing at 9:09. And board, any questions? Comments? Then I do need a motion. We got a motion by Member Smith, seconded by Member Valadeo to approve the transportation plan for 22-23. All those in favor? Opposed? And it is carried. And you're done. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
On to item I, the textbook adoption, Dr. Horton.
All right, good evening, members of the board. Items I, J, and K were all handled at the February 23rd Secondary Curriculum Council meeting with representative teachers, pilot teachers, representative administrators to listen to the goings-on of the secondary groups, junior highs and high schools, for things such as textbook adoptions, new courses, and changes to courses. So the first item, item I, was the pilot teacher group for English language arts has recommended and voted unanimously at the February 23rd meeting to recommend that the board adopt California Study Sync grades 7 through 12 by McGraw-Hill.
Thank you. Any questions for Dr. Horton? If not, I need a motion, please. Got a motion by Member Valadeo, seconded by Member Moran, to declare our intent to adopt the English Language Arts California Study Sync 7 through 12 from McGraw-Hill. Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried unanimously. Item J.
Item J, the pilot teacher group for history, social science in grades 7 through 12 piloted Cengage Learning National Geographic at grades 7 and 8 and the Teachers Curriculum Institute, TCI, at grades 9 through 12. At the committee meeting, Secondary Curriculum Council meeting on February 23rd, it was unanimously approved to bring that to the board tonight. Recommendation for the board to adopt those textbooks.
All right. Any questions? If not, I need a motion, please. We got a motion by Member Gattuso, seconded by Member Lieb, to declare our intent to adopt the history, social science books that are listed here. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And it is carried. Item K.
Very good. And just a point of clarification on I and J, those will now move to a public viewing period between now and the next board meeting. So members of the public may come to the district office and view the materials if they wish.
Great, thank you.
Item K, course adoption. It was brought forward to the Curriculum Council on February 23rd for a new elective course to be taught at the junior high school level, agricultural STEM and career. Kind of an exciting addition to that, and also get kids excited in the ag programs and hopefully keep them on to then carry on to the high school level.
All right. Any questions? All right, we need a motion, please. We got a motion by Member Smith, seconded by Member Munoz, to declare our intent to adopt the agricultural STEM and career course. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? It is carried.
Very good. Thank you.
And thank you, Dr. Horton. Excuse me while I pull this up here, because we have such a small packet here of only 352 pages I got to get here. Next item on our agenda is our employee and volunteer appreciation resolutions. And I would like to read those resolutions. Dr. Marshall, do you have anything? Okay. I'd like to read those resolutions. Volunteer recognition, shining a light on the people and causes that inspire us to serve. Whereas April 19th through April 22nd, 2023 is a celebration of National Volunteer Week, and whereas volunteers are eager to help out in every way and take time to make the world a better place.
whereas volunteerism is recognized as a central partner to education, where young people have the advantage of seeing adults show respect, responsibility, fairness, trustworthiness, caring, and citizenship. Now, therefore, be resolved that the Los Banos Unified School District Board of Trustees publicly thanks and honors the many dedicated individuals who give so freely of their time, energy, and abilities to the students of this school district, not only during this special week, but throughout the year. The second resolution that we have is Day of the Teacher. Teachers today, touch tomorrow. Whereas May 10th, 2023 is designated as Day of the Teacher in celebration of the teaching profession, and whereas the board recognizes that a strong public education system for all youth is essential to our democratic system, and whereas the board acknowledges the true heroes of society, our teachers, for the lasting contributions they make to our most valuable resource, our children. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Los Banos Unified School District Board of Trustees publicly thanks and honors the many dedicated individuals who give so freely of their time, energy, and abilities to the students of this school district, not only on this special day, but throughout the year, and urge the citizens of Los Banos to pay tribute to them as well. And our third resolution, Classified School Employees Week. Together, everyone achieves more. Whereas May 21st through 27th, 2023 is designated as Classified School Employees Week in celebration of support staff, and whereas the board recognizes that a strong, successful public education system requires a team effort, and the classified employees are valued members of that district team, and whereas the board acknowledges the true heroes of society, our classified employees, who take care of the district support functions so teachers can concentrate on teaching and students can focus on learning. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Los Banos Unified School District Board of Trustees publicly thanks and honors the many dedicated individuals who give so freely of their time, energy, and abilities, not only during this special week, but throughout the year, and urge the citizens of Los Banos to pay tribute to them as well. Those are our three resolutions that are before you tonight. Any comments or questions? I do need a motion.
I'd probably make a motion to accept the employee and volunteer appreciation resolutions.
We got a motion by Member Lieb and a second by Member Smith, and I might say that was as he said, you probably couldn't hear it. He proudly makes that motion. Any comments or questions? Roll call vote. Tina, please.
Ms. Gattuso? Mr. Lieb?
Yes.
Ms. Moran?
Yes.
Mr. Munoz?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Valadao? Mr. Pereira?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I would like to just add one more thing, and that is we recognize the volunteers and the teachers and the classified employees, but I also want to recognize, even though we don't have a resolution, all of our outstanding administrators. So thank you. We don't have a resolution for you, but we really appreciate you. Thank you so much. All right, on to item M, initial bargaining proposal for the Los Banos Teachers Association. Dr. Calzadias.
This may seem a bit out of sequence since we haven't settled the 22-23 bargaining cycle, yet each bargaining cycle parties have a right to bring their proposal forward, and once both parties bring the proposal forward, it's approved by the board, then negotiations can begin. It's recommended that the board accept the initial bargaining proposal submitted by the Los Banos Teachers Association for the 23-24 bargaining cycle. Board acceptance of the proposal will follow a public hearing.
All right. With that, we'll open the public hearing at 9:18. Are there any comments on LBTA's initial bargaining proposal? All right, seeing no one come forward, we will close the public hearing at 9:18. Questions or comments from the board? If not, I need a motion, please.
So moved.
We got a motion by Member Munoz, seconded by Member Valadao, to accept the initial bargaining proposal of Los Banos Teachers Association. Further comments? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And it is carried. On to item N, the tentative agreement between the Los Banos Unified School District and the California School Employees Association, local chapter number 92. Dr. Calzadias.
As you heard tonight in CSCA's report, we have a negotiated tentative agreement that we're bringing in front of you tonight to fully and finally resolve the parties' successor contract negotiations for the 22-23 school year or bargaining cycle. It's recommended the board hold a public hearing and ratify the negotiated agreement between the Los Banos Unified School District and the California School Employees Association and its local chapter number 92 for the 22-23 bargaining cycle.
All right, thank you. With that, we'll open the public hearing on this item at 9:19. Anybody that wishes to speak, please come forward. Seeing no one, we will close at 9:19 this item, and we do need a motion. We got a motion by Member Cattuso, seconded by Member Smith, to ratify the agreement between the Los Banos Unified School District and the California School Employees Association, Local Chapter 92. Further comments or questions? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And it is carried unanimously.
Thank you.
On to item P, the compensation increase for the district superintendent. Dr. Calzadias.
I believe,
Oh, did I skip one? I skipped one. Sorry about that. I did. I skipped item O. Oops. Trying to get going here.
Okay.
Compensation increase for unrepresentative employees. Item O. Dr. Calzadias.
the district has a longstanding practice that when we settle negotiations with our bargaining units, that those employees that are in unrepresented groups receive fair and reasonable compensation that matches that is which has been negotiated. It's requested that the board take action to increase the salary schedules for unrepresented employee groups equal to the 7.3% negotiated for the classified employee group retroactive to July 1, it should be 2022, as well as the one-time stipend for $2,000 and the negotiated cap on benefits.
All right. Thank you. And there is that is correction. It is a retroactive to July 1st, 2022. It was written as 2023. Sorry, I didn't catch that earlier either. Questions or comments from the board? Not need a motion, please.
So move.
Second.
Got a motion by member Munoz, seconded by member Lieb, to approve the compensation increases for our unrepresentative employee groups. Other comments or questions? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? It is carried. Now we're on to item P, compensation increase for the district superintendent. Dr. Calzadias.
It's also a longstanding practice in the district that when negotiations are settled, that the superintendent receive the same compensation increase as all other district employees. It's requested that the board take action to increase the base salary for the superintendent equal to the 7.3% negotiated for the classified bargaining unit, retroactive to July 1, 2022, as well as the $2,000 one-time stipend and the health benefit cap equal to $24,000 as it was for the other groups.
All right, any questions, comments? Motion, please. Got a motion by member Lieb, seconded by member Smith, to approve the compensation increase for the district superintendent. Any comments or questions further? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? It is carried unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. On to the Department of Rehabilitation contract resolution. I don't see Miss Yolanda Cork-Anthony. Pitch hitting for Yolanda is Dr. Ritchie.
Good evening, board. All right, so we recommended the board, trying to find where I'm at. There we go. Recommend the board adopt resolution 0223 and approve the contract for transition partnership program services between the state of California, the Department of Rehabilitation, and Los Banos Unified School District.
All right. Any comments or questions from the board? If not, in motion, please.
We have a motion by Member Gattuso, seconded by Member Valadeo, to adopt the resolution and to approve the contract of, and it's number 2-23. And this is a roll call vote. Tina?
Mrs. Gattuso? Mr. Lieb?
Yes.
Ms. Moran? Mr. Munoz?
Yes.
Ms. Smith? Ms. Valadeo? Mr. Pura?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ritchie. Item on to the CSBA Delegate Assembly election. Dr. Marshall.
It's recommended that the board,
Cast its vote.
my one? Okay.
Sorry.
It's recommended that the board cast a vote for a representative to the California School Board's Delegate Assembly.
And you'll notice that there is no candidate listed on that form. There is opportunities for board members from the all of Merced County school districts. So even though no one has declared, there may be other boards who have appointed or asked someone to run in this position. So if you want to appoint somebody here or nominate someone here tonight, you can. If not, we can send it in without a recommendation. How do you want to go?
Let's go ahead and send it in without a recommendation.
All right. Any other? Okay, so there will be, don't need to vote on this because we're not sending anybody in. And so that is a moot item right now. Thank you very much. On to the consent calendar. Is there any pulls from any of the board members tonight on the consent calendar items? If not, I need a motion, please.
I so move.
Got a motion by Member Munoz, seconded by Member Gattuso to approve the consent calendar as listed. It is a roll call vote. Tina, please.
Mrs. Gattuso? Yes. Mr. Lieb?
Yes.
Ms. Moran? Yes. Mr. Munoz?
Yes.
Ms. Smith? Yes. Ms. Valadeo? Yes. Mr. Pura?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tina. All right, reporting closed session action. Get my paperwork out here. First item in closed session that was an action item was student discipline cases. The following expulsion case numbers 5533218, 5525179, 5509048, 5512207, 5530210, and 5521801 are expelled for the remainder of the school year. Students are to contact the Educational Services for readmission following the period of expulsion for review of attendance, credits and/or grades, behavior, and recommended counseling. All students are referred to Valley Community School. There was a motion by Member Munoz, seconded by Member Valadeo. There were votes. Ayes were Gattuso, Lieb, Moran, Munoz, Pereira, Smith, Valadeo. There were no noes, there were no abstentions, and no absences. Second item in closed session that was an action item was a parent request for early graduation for one Crossroads Alternative Education student. There was a motion by Member Munoz, seconded by Member Moran, to approve the early graduation request. The vote was ayes. Gattuso, Lieb, Moran, Munoz, Pereira, Smith, and Valadeo. There were no noes, absences, or abstentions. Next item is the Public Employee Discipline Dismissal Release Reassignment. I'm sorry. No, it says no action, but there is action. So the agenda says no action, but there is actually action on this item. So item 4, Public Employee Discipline Dismissal Release Reassignment. In closed session, the board took action to release 8 non-tenured certificated employees and 1 certificated counselor pursuant to Education Code Section 449954B effective at the end of the 2022-2023 school year, and directed the superintendent or his designee to issue all appropriate legal notices. The roll call vote was as follows. There were 7 ayes, no noes, and no abstentions. Second item under that same item is in closed session, the board took action to issue a notice releasing and reassigning a learning director who is an administrative employee identified by resolution number 0823 pursuant to Education Code Section 44951, effective at the end of the 2022-2023 school year, and directed the superintendent or designee to send out the appropriate legal notices. The roll call vote was as follows. There were 7 ayes, no nays, no abstentions, and no one absent. And that is our closed session action. Next item is discussion information and future agenda items. Anyone tonight? No one? All right. Next item is closed session, but we finished everything in closed session, so we don't need to go back to closed session. So with that, I wish everybody a great night. Thank you for being here, and safe travels home. Stay dry. Good night, everybody.